What's going on, everybody? We're back with our Dynasty show. We're looking at pick 104. I think for me, this is where things start to get a little bit interesting in terms of which direction you can go. Do you guys agree with that one? The 104, it starts getting a little interesting.
I'd say more interesting, yeah.
Dad, what do you think?
I'm sorry, what was that?
You cut out there. I said the 104, I think it starts getting a little interesting. Do you agree?
Definitely.
Yeah.
There's a couple,
go ahead.
couple different positions in play here, you know.
Well, let's talk about that. So the 104 in a Superflex league. Let's assume let's just assume Bijan, Stroud, and Bryce Young are all gone. Brian, what direction are you going with the 104? Are you still thinking about quarterback?
Yeah, I think I still would, honestly, unless I was like really, if I felt like I could compete without it. But yeah, I think I'd still take Levis or Richardson, depending on like what my thought process is and like as far as like this year.
Yep. Dad, what do you think? You're still thinking about quarterback at the 104 if Stroud and Bryce Young are gone?
Yeah, Richardson would be the only one for me. So, and you know, I gotta think about it. You know, do I start looking at the best wide receiver? Jackson Smith, Najigba, JSN, he's going to be a good wide receiver. Maybe Addison, those guys. So, if I'm not Levis, I'm not picking Levis at 4. So,
yeah, fair enough. I mean, so let's say you you're not thinking quarterback. So you said Jackson Smith and Jigba. Or Jahmyr Gibbs, one of those two you're kind of set on, or even Addison?
Yeah, I'm not sure about Gibbs either at this point. I'm not sure if I see Gibbs any more than, kind of a third down back right now. I don't know. He catches the ball a lot, and, I'd have to really look at some of the other running backs, but that kind of, I don't know. I'd still be looking Richardson or JSN or some of the other receivers. This isn't like last year where we had 3 or 4 receivers who it seemed like they were going to step in and do pretty good. So this year's a little different.
Yep. Brian, if you're off quarterback at the 104, which way would you go? Top receiver that's still there, or Jahmyr Gibbs? And of course, it depends on your needs, but I think you should always mostly approach things as best player available. So, like, what's your opinion in terms of like who's going to be the best fantasy asset?
Yeah, I'd say Jackson Smith and Jigba, because I think he's going to be kind of one of those guys, like, he's going to hold his value decently well. Like, I mean, the draft is going to tell us a lot, Gibbs could easily, like, slide in front of him, depending on landing spot. But, I think I would take the receiver.
Yeah, we don't know who the wide receiver 1 in the draft is going to be in terms of taken. It could be Quentin Johnston, which is my favorite receiver in terms of just the potential. I think he has the highest ceiling, in my opinion. But it could be JSN. One of those two guys. I'd be surprised if it wasn't one of those two guys as the number 1 wide receiver taken. But I'm fine with going either the top receiver. I'm also fine with Jahmyr Gibbs. I'd probably lean Quentin Johnston, though, at the 104 if I wasn't going quarterback. If I was going quarterback, probably Richardson. I'm okay with Levis as well, depending on, we'll see where he goes. He could go maybe later in the first. There's kind of a wide range for him for sure. But as usual, we'll get into some trades that have happened recently for the 104 and kind of get your guys' opinion for it. So, Brian, starting with you, in a Superflex 12-team league, would you trade the 104 and Rachaad White for Justin Fields?
Yeah, definitely.
No question, huh?
Yeah, I think that's a great deal. It's a great haul. Honestly, I think that's a good for both sides. Yeah, I can't argue with that.
Mm-hmm. Dad, what do you think? Why don't you trade the 104 and Rachaad White, and you get Justin Fields?
The 104 and Rachaad White for Fields?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'd take Fields for that. You already kind of know what you're getting. Hopefully it gets better all around game. But I don't think I'd have a problem doing that.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if you told me Bryce Young was still there at the 104, I think I'd keep the 104. But if you told me that he was gone, and it's like Anthony Richardson or Levis as a quarterback, I'd take Fields over those guys as well. What about the 104 for Trey Lance and David Montgomery? Brian, would you do that?
I think there's too much risk inherent with Lance. Like, I mean, if you really feel like gambling, then go for it. I mean, like, I think we think. I mean, Montgomery's going to be an RB2 this year coming up, so you're getting a solid piece there. But like the risk, it's really how you feel about Lance. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a little too risky for me. I mean, obviously everything comes with risk. The 104 is not a guarantee. But no, I don't think I would do it.
Yeah. Dad, what about you? Trading the 104, you get Trey Lance and David Montgomery.
Nah, that's an easy one. I wouldn't do that. So Trey Lance is not established. We haven't seen what kind of quarterback he is. There's already rumors out there, San Francisco might want to trade him or something like that. So, and geez, they gave up like 3 first-round draft picks to move up to get him, and now they're going to offload him, because Purdy is the man. So, no, David Montgomery, nice. He's going to be a nice running back for the Lions. I don't see that though. I need something better.
Yeah. What if I told you Trey Lance is going to be a starter for a team at the beginning of the year? I'm not saying he's going to start the whole year, but he's going to get the opportunity. He's going to be someone's starter week 1. Still not doing it?
Well, I
think I would. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you go first, Brian.
I was gonna say, yeah, I think that definitely changes things. Like, I think there's a lot of risk with Trey Lance, like on like all sides of the ball. Like, we don't know if he's starting. We haven't really seen him play. It's kind of like, I mean, he's kind of like the to the lesser degree, like the Anthony Richardson from a couple of years ago, or the Malik Willis from last year, where it's like, oh, this guy, he's a runner. He'll get out there in space and. Like you're gonna get a bunch of rushing yards from this guy, and like that's why everyone like wants him like as a fantasy asset kind of a thing, because we've seen what those guys can do, but obviously it doesn't always work out. Like I think there's just a lot of risk in general. I think if you guaranteed like that he was gonna start for any team, just in general, like I think I would take the chance on Lance at that point, because I mean, what else are you getting at that 104 that's less risky necessarily? Like I think Richardson is just as risky. Obviously he's got different athletic profile than Lance, but I mean, now if you told me Carolina took Richardson at 1 overall, that would change things also. So,
Dad, so that same trade.
Yeah. I would
Lance is going to be starting.
Yeah, I would consider it. And might, give it a shot. And Montgomery's going to give you something. So Lance, at least getting an opportunity to start and see what he can do. He's been around. This would be his third year. So
yeah, I'm okay with it as well. I think so. Okay, I'm going to group these three together because they're all straight up 1-for-1 with the pick for a player. I want you to tell me maybe which one's your favorite and would you do any of them. So the 101 for Breece Hall, the 104 for Breece Hall, the 104 for Amon-Ra St. Brown, the 104 for Derrick Henry. Brian, out of those three,
this is super flex still?
Super flex still, yes. 12 team.
Honestly, I think I like St. Brown the best. It's him and Breece Hall. I don't know.
And let's say, at the 104, let's say it's in the draft, it's, it's like Richardson, Levis are there, Jahmyr Gibbs, receiver.
Yeah, I would do it. I would do it for either Breece Hall or Amon-Ra.
Not for Derrick Henry?
No.
Fair enough. Dad, what about you? Would you?
Yeah, me too. I think I would. We know, Breece Hall minus the injury. He's a young running back. St. Brown, young wide receiver. They both produced. St. Brown has got some. Some big years ahead of him. He's going to score some points, and Derrick Henry. Nah, I'm not touching that guy. So
I would try and squeeze him a little bit more. Honestly, like I would try and get a whatever player, or even like a third round pick, like thrown in, like depending on, because I mean, you got to look at it from the other guys. Like if he's trading away like a known commodity to get the 104, like he obviously sees something there that he wants. So I think that like a third round pick from that person, that they shouldn't let that stop them, because I mean, what is the value of a third round pick? Like I think you should try and get a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But I mean, on the face of it, like you're trading your unknown commodity. Like obviously, like there's a lot of temptation there because the quarterbacks that are still going to be there and the running back and your choice of the receivers and everything. But I think to trade it for a known thing is like powerful. But obviously, like gauge the interest and don't let that, if they say no third round pick, don't let that stop you from getting what you think is the right thing too. So I'd probably be okay with it without that pick, but I'd try and squeeze it a little bit.
Yeah, especially if you were, you got the pick not because you sucked, but you were, you traded for it and you're a good team or something, makes it even more appealing, I think, getting one of those two guys. We'll finish up by going over a couple. We're in a whole lot of trades in non-super flex leagues that I found recently, but there's a couple. One here for you guys. Again, this is a one quarterback, 12-team league. 104 for the 107 and the 201. Dad, what do you think about that? So the 104 moving back to the 107, picking up the 201.
Yeah, that's getting some draft capital for sure. So, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Mm-hmm. Brian, what do you think?
I think I would. I'd definitely like really consider it. Like, again, it's going to really come down to like who's there at 104 and how strongly do you feel about them. And if they're in a big old bucket with, 3-4 other guys or whatever, you might as well just grab that extra pick and just move back a few spots. I don't mind it.
Yeah. The only thing I'm slightly worried about here is it being a one quarterback league. And I think there's a possibility of like maybe just one quarterback gets taken. And now you're saying the top 3 running backs are out and the top, the top 2 or 3 running backs out, top 2 or 3 wide receivers aren't there at the 107. So it's like, what are you looking at? Running back 3 or 4, wide receiver 3 or 4. There's that
But
possibility.
also, but I mean, coupled with what you just said, though, that means quarterback 1 or 2 is there. Also,
Yep.
So I mean, I get it. I get what like it is. It is quarterback. It's like it's not as dependent on quarterback as Superflex, obviously, but I mean, you still got to groom these guys a little bit. You got to take your shots on them. I guess you could always trade for them, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to feel great to get one of those guys at 107 to get like the best pick in the draft kind of thing, like get Justin Herbert or whatever at 107 in a non-super flex. I don't know where he was drafted, but
yeah, I guess part of me thinks, I don't know for sure, but I hope we're not overrating these quarterbacks a bit just because the quarterbacks last year were such a disappointment. And so this year we're like, oh yeah, we actually got quarterbacks that are going to go in the top 10, and we're overrating them a bit. Like, how good are they really? Is this group? We won't know for a few years, I would, if I had to bet, is there 4 really good quarterbacks in this fantasy quarterbacks in this draft, or is it one guy? I'm going to go to the one guy side.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. There's the definite possibility, but I mean, you can't win if you don't play, right?
Yeah, for sure. Got one more for you guys. We'll finish up. The 104. Again, this is non-super flex. The 104 for Mark Andrews. Dad, are you doing it?
Sorry, 104 for Mark Andrews?
Yeah, 12-team league. Start one quarterback. No? Interesting.
No.
Why is that?
Need something else. Mark Andrews, we're missing Lamar, so I don't know. I don't think Mark Andrews kind of loses his luster a little bit if Lamar's not playing.
Okay. Ryan, what do you think? 104 for Mark Andrews.
No, I don't think I would do that either, honestly.
Wow. Surprised.
I just don't know how much I really value Mark Andrews over some of the other tight ends. I don't know. Like, the more I play fantasy, the more I just sour on the tight end in general, where it's like, oh, if you don't have Kelsey, then I feel like the next 5 guys they'll be fine. And then
let me remind you that Mark Andrews had 107 catches, 1,360 yards, and 9 touchdowns in 2021. That's insane numbers for a receiver. That's Kelsey numbers. He was the tight end one. Like, he's shown he can do that. So I'm just like, it's funny how fast things change, because I kind of agreed with you in the beginning, like, yeah, Mark Andrews. And then I looked and I saw, he had 1,360 yards and over 100 catches in 2021. That's insane.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but
no, I mean, I think that's all. That is an important thing to remember. It just kind of depends on. Yeah, like I think what Dad said about Lamar not being there, like that, or currently, like they're trying to figure that out. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. You just see these situations for these guys change like so quickly. I'm just kind of. I'm not entirely sold, honestly. Like, I don't know. I don't think I'd give up the 104 for any of the tight ends, honestly. Like, I don't even think I would trade. I don't think I'd trade the 104 for Pitts. I would do it for Kelsey if it was like I was stacked everywhere else, and it's like, oh well, I'm definitely gonna win now, kind of a thing.
So again, non-super flex. So let's say no quarterback is gone. So it's Jahmyr Gibbs is gone, Bijan's gone, the top receiver's gone, or Bijan and the 2 top receivers are gone. Are you basically you're saying like Jahmyr Gibbs? I like Jahmyr Gibbs more for Dynasty as well. Like, Mark Andrews is not old; he's 27. He'll be 28 by the beginning of the season. So you're basically saying I like Jahmyr Gibbs more than Mark Andrews. I like Quentin Johnston more than Mark Andrews, or are you just saying I think I can get more?
I don't know if you could get more. Honestly, I'm just not. I think I like the lotto ticket. Honestly, I think I'd rather take a quarterback, even in one quarterback leagues.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm in on Andrews. I also think there's a chance if there is no Lamar, what's stopping the Ravens from just all right? We're blowing it up. We're rebuilding. We're not. We don't want to pay Mark Andrews. We have to pay him a lot after next year. A decent amount, 17 million cap hit. Like, let's stop. This is looking way ahead, but what's just stopping them from trading him to fucking Kansas City? And then there's when Kelsey retires or something. I don't know. I like Mark Andrews there, but fair enough. Fair enough. Awesome. We'll finish up there. We'll be back with the 105 pick where things get even more interesting. Is that the tier break? I don't know. That's a tease. We'll see you guys